My name is Noel Davidson, and we're going to have a little bit of interaction here as well, just before we finish up from lunch. And it's a little bit different what you would expect, but I'm going to be talking about protecting your personas online. And it's important to state that we have different personas online. You have your personal persona, whether you have a Facebook page. You have your business persona, if from a business point of view, whether you appear on LinkedIn or some of these social media sites. So we're going to be going through these and having a bit of fun with it. So managing and protecting your multiple personas. It's important, first of all, to recognize that fact that you do have multiple personas online. And here's where the big pointy hand comes out. When were you last Googled? And what did they find? Have you ever Googled yourself? Yeah. Were you happy with what you found? How do you control that? And it's a very strong question to ask. You know, when were you last Googled? So I know when you leave here, you're all going to Google yourselves and see what you can find. But if you leave here and you go home, and the ceiling is dripping of water because something's happened and you have a leaky pipe, and so you're going to look for a plumber. And you're going to go to Google. Has anyone seen the golden pages lately? Has anyone used them? It used to be about this thick, and it's about this. It wouldn't hold the door open now. We're all using Google. And if you want a plumber urgently, you type in plumber, Malahide, 24-hour call out. And that plumber will be found if he has put that somewhere, on his website, on his LinkedIn connection, wherever the case may be. And Google is blind and deaf. It cannot see pictures. It cannot hear sounds. It's all about the text. So let's have a bit of fun with it. So when were you last Googled? Well, Mark is still here, I think. Yeah. So I use Mark just for a bit of fun. You're very welcome, Mark. Not at all. And if you go onto Google and type in Mark Kellett, this is what you'll find. And well done, Mark. Right at the very top. You're not an artist by any chance. I see you sitting beside one there. Are you taking any tips? There you go. Well, there is a Mark Kellett as an artist. Is that the same guy? And we can do this research ourselves. So here we have Mark Kellett, and we've got his LinkedIn post. That's at the top. And very few people realize that LinkedIn, there's no scary photographs on LinkedIn. It's all business. But you choose what you put up. You are who you say you are online. That's really important to know. So I wanted to have a quick look and see how much I can find out about Mark online. And Mark was very generous there, and he didn't give the sales pitch. But a very quick search on Google, and you can find this.
And tell us a bit about Magnet Networks. It's the first time we've had a chance to interview you here.
Yeah, Magnet is the child of a US investment firm who own the transatlantic network into Ireland. It's a company called Columbia Ventures Corporation. So we have two fibres, subsea fibres, coming from North America into Ireland and then into Southport in the UK, on down into London. So it's an asset heavily utilised by the financial services industry in London. And more recently, we're under construction with a new fibre link from the UK to North America, New Jersey. So it'll be the fastest subsea cable from doing business. If you want to do sort of high-frequency trading out of London into New York, then this is the circuit to be on.
There's the elevator pitch. And I can access that online. Never met the guy before, but I'm going to meet Mark. We're going to hopefully do some business together. I want to find something out about Mark before I meet him. Or any of ye. All I need to know is look you up and Google you and see what I can find. So how do you protect what people are going to find about you? Well, you've got to realize that there are various sites out there, social media sites, and they all come in different flavors. Some people like Coca-Cola, some people like Fanta, some people like 7-Up. You're not going to know what site matches your taste until you pop that can and take a taste of it. Until you try out these numerous sites and see do they work for you, your brand, your business, your persona. And when I talk about social media, we have to talk about the different personas that apply to each of these sites. So talking about that, and I talk about social media, we could be here for weeks talking about the hundreds and thousands of social media sites that there are out there. And depending on which one you use, you can have different personas. So we're going to dismiss all these, and I'm going to talk about the big ones that matter today. the ones that matter now. And it is changing, and it does change. We cannot go on without talking about Facebook. I used to say who's on Facebook. I'm going to reverse it. Who's not on Facebook? Yeah. About 10, 12, 20 people. Okay. Twitter. A lot of people don't get Twitter. Twitter is just texting, but it's on a global scale. And to make Twitter interesting, you follow interesting people to you. And then it's brilliant. So my biggest complaint, and that a lot of people say to me, is, I don't get Twitter. It's full of pointless babble. Well, I'll have a little bit of fun. Just for a second. This is the cameraman's nightmare when you go into the crowd. What is your favourite radio station? Whatever's on the dial. Doesn't matter. Favourite radio station? 2FM. 102. Today FM. Radio 6. Bit of culture. I love it. 98 FM. Yeah. And News Talk. Right. So to get to the station you want to listen to, you've got to spin that dial, haven't you? And what do you hear? Noise. And if you're trying to look for News Talk, and you go through Spin 106, dance music, that's pointless babble to you. So you keep going until you get to the station you want, and when you get there, I want to save it, because I don't want to go through all that junk again. And then when you filter that dial, you end up with a lovely dial of radio stations that you like. And the internet is exactly the same. And Twitter, a lot of people don't get it. You just tune into the stations or the people or the feeds that you like. And then it's really interesting. So if you're into Jeremy Clarkson and Top Gear, you'll follow something like that. You may not be into baking and cookery, so you may not follow Nigella Lawson. LinkedIn, probably the most important business generating site out there. A lot of people think it's a recruitment site. It's not. It's as far away from a recruitment site as you can get if you use it correctly. YouTube. YouTube is stunning. Mark mentions there, you know, we're broadcasting this, and YouTube is your television on demand. Yes, it's full of pointless babble, but if you type in Beethoven's Fifth, you'll find the most amazing concerts from around the globe. But it's up to you to filter that noise, like the radio stations. And if I search for Mark, or Paul Dwyer, or Cyber Threat Summit, I will find videos and information there on what I've searched. If someone searches for you, will they find you? And what will they find? Google Plus, I'm going to come back to that in a second, and blogging, right? Blogging. So on a website, to increase your ranking in the search engines, to keep it updated frequently, you might incorporate a blog. But let's talk about this guy, Google Plus. Who's on Google Plus? Who's using it? Everybody's on it. One person's using it. Good man. Do you work for Google? No. We have a lot of people on there using it. Yeah? Okay. Well, we're going to watch it with interest. But there's a lot of people there registered, but very few people, I would suggest, are using it. Not as much as maybe Google would like. I'll leave it at that. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But I'm going to dismiss that one today. But what I am going to talk about, no matter what site you use, you do what I call the 3 Ps. If you do this, you've got it. It doesn't get any more difficult than this. 1, you protect your brand. Whatever it may be, whether it be you, the individual, or the company. Now, I'll explain what I mean. If you're a company, you get the website. www.noeldavidson.com, whatever it may be. But I may not be using Facebook, I may not be using LinkedIn, I may not be using Twitter, but I need to grab the name. I need to protect my brand. Because with a website, especially if it's a .ie, you've got to prove title to it. But everything else is like the .com. You've got to get there first. It's first past the post. So you may not want to use Facebook, but at least grab the name. Get facebook.com/Noel Davidson. And sit on it. Because the last thing you want to do is be confused with somebody else who is the largest porn star in San Francisco, and his name happens to be Noel Davidson. That doesn't suit me. So protect your brand by grabbing the names. Then you decide what sites you want to use to promote yourself. And that's exactly what you do. You protect your brand by grabbing the names, and then you promote. You say what you do in text. wherever it is, and you'll see why I say that in a second. And this is where the whole social media thing has changed. You participate. Protect, promote, participate. And the whole participation thing is really important. Because there's the ability on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on a blog for someone to ask a question, to comment. And it may be negative. I bought service from Magnet. I bought a doghouse from you. You build kennels. ibuildkennels.com. And the roof falls off it. And they're saying, I would never buy anything from this guy, the roof fell off mine. You've got to answer that and address it. If you don't, the next call goes into Joe Duffy. You're stuffed. Completely. The fire has started and you won't put that one out. You've got to deal with it. So protect, promote, and participate. So, do we all know who this guy is? What is George Hook an expert at? Being a grumpy old man. Eating, yes. He's on the radio quite a lot. Anything else? Rugby. Self-promotion, both good and bad, absolutely. I would never have to go very far without somebody saying rugby. The question was, what is he an expert at? Somebody says rugby. Is he? Is he an expert in rugby? He thinks he is. But I've asked the question in many times, many audience, and a lot of people agree with what he thinks. He is perceived to be an expert in rugby. Why do we perceive George Hook to be an expert in rugby? Correct. If you walk like a duck and talk like a duck, you will be perceived to be a duck. So how do you become the #1 person in your field or perceived to be an expert in your field? Very simply, you put yourself out there as an expert in your field. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And I'm going to explain how it works. So I'm going to see if we can do this live demo. If we're not on, we'll try it. But this could be a bit of fun. Let's see if we're online. We're not. I'm going to go, I think we've switched off the internet. So I'll just do it through here. So very quickly. So this is my LinkedIn page. And I'm going to change, I don't know if anyone's familiar with LinkedIn, but you've got to fill out your profile to 100%. And you fill it out with the text. That's really important of what you do. Because it's all searchable. And I'm going to give you a quick demonstration on it. So up here in the top right-hand corner, this search bar, this search section, is where all the magic happens. And you can search for people, companies, answers, groups. I'm going to go on to answers. Because this is a network of professional, educated people. Wouldn't it be lovely to search what people are talking about and their opinions? Well, you can do that. So I'm going to type in here. Any vegetarians here, by the way? Thank you, Dave. Dave and I are going to go for a vegetarian lasagna later on. But I know absolutely nothing about vegetarianism. And I'm going to search here on LinkedIn and just see who the expert is. Who's passing on an opinion. Who's putting themselves out there as an expert in their field. So I'm going to type in here, vegetarian options. And I click enter. Dropped it down to answers, vegetarian options, click enter. And this is what happens. All the questions that have ever been asked on LinkedIn appear. And you can go down through them and see the ones that are close to what you're looking for. And by the way, if the question you're looking for hasn't been asked, what do you think you should do? Ask it yourself, absolutely. Protect, promote, participate. See if we can get some feedback on it. So, I'm going to go for this one. Do you consider it drastic to eat a vegetarian or a vegan diet? I click on that, and I can see this question has been asked by this lady, Kim W. Lilly. Don't know her, not connected to her. But I'm quite interested in both the question and the answer. And here we have the answer here. We've 5 of them. But this one has been selected to be the best answer by the people that have read it. Fantastic verification on it. And here she is, Elizabeth Walker, and she's been voted to have the best answers in work-life balance and healthcare. She is the George Hook of that industry. She's putting herself out there as an expert in her field by putting up the things that she knows the answers to. Or if she doesn't, she's looking them up. But she's putting herself out there as a champion of her industry or her cause. And then I'll click on her, and I can see here Elizabeth Walker, and I actually see that we have 3 people that are connected to some of her connections. So I can start to maybe try and connect, try and network with her. Now, why it's important is I'm going to go back to Google and I'm going to type in those couple of words: drastic, eat, vegetarian, and vegan. And look what the top hit is: the question and the answer. So by doing that, by engaging on all these sites, whatever it may be, and you're talking about your business, your brand, your experience, it is searchable. And you are guarding and protecting that persona by doing that. And I will see if I can get in on this live, because it's quite important to see the result of it. So just give me a second here and we'll drop this in. See if we can open this up. Give me 1 second there and we'll see if we can get online. Yeah, that might work. Okay, let's have a go at this, see if it works. So, if you search for me when you leave here, hopefully this will work. I'll never do it live. There's my website, says what it does. There's LinkedIn. There's Twitter. That's not me. That is a Bowsy that was in Kent in the UK. And last November, he was convicted and put away in jail. But he just happens to have the same name as me. So you could have, when you leave here, looked me up and found a different person, someone else's persona. But it could easily be confused with me. How do I control that? I can't. Or can I? Well, it's an old news story, or it will be. And it will drop down the rankings because the page isn't being updated. So by me updating all the other sites that's here, my profile on Facebook, my LinkedIn page, my Twitter account, it will drop that one down. And once it goes to page 2 or 3, it's gone. It's gone. And I said to you that Google is blind and it's deaf. But let me show you a little bit of SEO, just very, very simply, how it works. So I'm going to look for a pair of dungarees, and I want them to be for kids, and I want them to be waterproof. Anyone here from Google? You know what's coming next. So here's a Google AdWords. And you can't see it shaded too well here, but these top 2 here, they're paying for that. Puddle Ducks and Rainbusters. But they're also appearing underneath for free. And let's have a quick look at Rainbusters, and you can try this yourselves. If you move down, a little arrow will pop out. And if I move it across, actually, what I'll do is, so I can make this full screen, just bear with me. So you can see it. Okay. So a little arrow will pop out. And what that does is, it shows you the last time that the Google robot has come and looked at the page and took a snapshot. And we can see the snapshot here, and we'll click on it. Cached. And I searched for dungarees, kids, and waterproof. And you'll see them appear on the page. And this is the page as we see it. And you can see the words, they're highlighted there in green and yellow. But these guys were actually really, really clever. Down the end of their page, they've put a big chunk of text that you and I will never read, but Google can see it. And it's saying what they do. They're putting themselves out there as the experts in their field. And what is it? Well, they supply outdoor weatherproof rain sets for kids, for forest walks, orienteering, horse riding, sailing, water games in the garden. Because one day, somebody will search looking for a rain fleece mitten suitable for going to the creche and play school. And they will pop up for free. And I did say Google was blind and deaf. It cannot see pictures and it cannot hear sounds. It can only see text. And this is what Google sees, the text version of the page. And down the very end, that small chunk of text that you and I could never read, Google can see it. And it's really, really important. So you put yourself out there as an expert in your field. You will be perceived to be an expert in your field. And you're protecting your persona online by doing that. So we're going to take, just finishing up now, we're going to finish off and I think we're going to have a small Q&A session. And thank you for your time.